right, we're doing this again, and this time, we're checking out something that I think a lot of people are aware of, but maybe know very little about. I am one of those people. Of course, we're talking drugs. No, we're talking a specific drug, Ozempic. It's a weight loss drug that, if anything, I should probably be aware of and know a lot about. It would help. But also, I'm kind of the opinion on my weight loss journey that I want to kind of do it au naturel. I feel like there's a lot... I don't know, like, health benefit-wise, but I think psychology-wise, changing your habits, changing the way you do things, getting more accustomed to working out. I feel like the working out part is huge when it comes to long-term health stuff, but I know it's hard to work out when you feel uncomfortable with yourself. I get it. We're not here to judge. I'm just saying what I'm doing is a longer process, and I would love it to speed up, but it is what it is. Anyway, I'm super interested in this video we have today because it's about how Ozempic is changing food forever. All right, so this is 1 month ago from Zackary Smigel. I don't know Zach's work, but I assume based on the channel here, it's literally just like, I don't want to say investigative journalism, but think pieces? Documentaries with a twist is what it says here. But basically, guy talks to camera about a thing they researched. Sometimes we watch these and there's zero research. According to him, this is a mix of social science, bad jokes, and internet culture. Great, that's what I love. And there are a lot of things, corporate conspiracy, infiltrating VidCon. Let's focus on this one, how Ozempic changed food forever. I think I know what he's gonna say, but I'm really curious what the angle here is. And maybe we'll learn more about Ozempic because honestly, aside from the fact it helps you lose weight, I don't know much about it. And most people are like, dude, they talk about Ozempic face. I guess it's because you lose weight so fast, you start to droop. I don't know, dude. All right, let's jump in.
Hello, my name is Zackary Smigel, and I'd like to show you something. Smoothie King has a GLP-1 support menu. Yes, that is real.
A lot of places have a GLP-1 support menu now. I think it is because so many people are taking Ozempic. And when I say so many people, I feel like that's just culturally, you see a lot of it in the news or celebrities or whatever. I don't know that most people are, but it feels like a lot of people are. So a lot of people, especially restaurants and fast food chains or whatever, are trying to lure them in as customers by saying like, look, we're going to help you on your weight loss journey with these things that are going to supplement any nutrients you're losing from Ozempic. I think that's what this is.
Not satire, not a cool edit by the old Zackster. A national chain looked at the rise in Ozempic, Wegovy, Zepbound, and said, cool, let's read.
What are the differences there? Wegovy? Should I get on Wegovy just for the name?
And guess what? They're not alone. McDonald's announced they're testing new menu items to appeal to users of GLP-1 products. Factor, the meal delivery kit service.
We talk about that on Cox and Crendor when we have a Factor ad. They have GLP-1 support. Although I will admit, I kind of like Factor, so I'll shut up. I'm not gonna slander them.
Nestle launched an entire frozen meal line built around supporting people on the drugs, and Walmart, the largest grocery retailer in the country, literally reported to investors that GLP-1 users were buying measurably less food in their stores. Ladies and gentlemen, buckle up.
Interesting. Yeah, I'm buckling because I have a theory now. And I don't know if that's where Zach's gonna go, but I have a theory. We just started. We're 44 seconds in, I've already theory crafted, where I think it's interesting that basically what these chains are saying is all the people who used to come here who were overweight that we counted on to eat our stuff, they aren't coming here anymore. So we need to lure them in with things they will eat because they no longer want to eat the food that we did serve them before, is what I think the corporate mentality here is. I'm gonna say something shocking. I don't think they're offering all this stuff because they want to help you on your weight loss journey. I think they want your money.
Because we are entering the Ozempic economy, a time where brands are shifting their marketing, menus, and even business models, not because they care, but because they have to. Roughly 1 in 8 adults are...
Well. All right. 1 in 8 adults are currently taking GLP-1 drugs. This feels like one of those topics that I always should have covered on Too Old for This, but like, I'm clearly not too old for it. I'm very interested in this. It reminds me of back in the day, all the previous 90s and early 2000s attempts at weight loss drugs. You know, back in the late 90s, we had Olestra. that they put into chips and stuff. And it was supposed to, it takes the fat out of your system. But all it did was make people shit themselves. Maybe I just don't trust it. Maybe that's why I'm like, this isn't for me.
That is millions of Americans eating less food. Right. And here's the thing, a huge part of the food industry is built on volume. More snacking, bigger portion sizes, buy 3 bags of chips, get 2 free.
And I wonder if this is compounded with the fact that everything's more expensive now. So they're giving less food, everything's more expensive, more people are getting on weight loss drugs. And so basically they're just taking hit after hit after hit on an economic level as a company, and they're like, we gotta do something. Let's throw protein in shit. You know what I mean?
GLP-1 drugs mess with all of that, and it is causing brands to panic and adapt. The adapting part sounds good in theory, right? We can all agree if big food wants to make their products healthier, that is generally a good thing. But are they actually doing that?
There it is! Pop-Tarts with protein is so funny. What do you mean? All right, well, I gotta shut up and just let him talk.
Or just slapping a fancy logo on a box of cereal and calling it a day. Well, that's one of the many things we're digging into today. We're going to follow the money, expose the marketing, and figure out who in this space is actually trying and who's just hoping you.
Hell yeah, Zach, I'm here for this.
All that plus Oprah, a few lawsuits waiting to happen, and something even called fiber maxing. Let's get into it.
Honestly, sometimes I think I should fiber max. I was gonna be like, fiber maxing? Have you ever thought of a joke and realized it's a dad joke immediately? I was like, fiber maxing, I won't poo-poo that. That's a solid dad joke. That's like a good joke. Whatever, there's a joke there, we'll craft it later.
The year was 1984. Apple launched the first Macintosh computer, Ronald Reagan won his second term, and scientists discovered a hormone in the human gut called GLP-1. GLP-1 lowers blood sugar and essentially tells your brain you're full. Cool discovery in 1984, but there was a problem. In your body, it breaks down in just about 2 minutes. Too fast to actually be useful in medicine. Then, in 1992, an endocrinologist named John Ang was studying Gila monster venom. Yes, venom from the Gila monster, which, as we all know, is the only venomous lizard in North America. Obviously.
Also, I just want to say for the record, the fact that he's using the Jedi Holo Library as a background. Zach, I think you're awesome. I think you're awesome, dude.
The lizard produced a hormone almost identical to human GLP-1, except it stuck around for hours. It was a massive discovery. Scientists took that, recreated it in a lab, and eventually built a twice-daily injection. Years later, Novo Nordisk then redefined it into a once-weekly shot.
Is it weird the Novo Nordisk logo is like a little culty looking? Like a little sun god culty looking?
And by 2017, the FDA approved it under the name Ozempic. When Ozempic came out, it was not a weight loss drug. It was approved specifically to treat type 2 diabetes. But as more people started using it, patients were losing significant amounts of weight as a side effect. And so doctors started prescribing it off-label. Off-label means using an FDA-approved medication for a purpose the FDA hasn't specifically approved it for. Okay. It's not illegal. Doctors actually do it all the time. But because insurance companies only cover approved use, getting something like Ozempic for weight loss meant paying out of pocket, which is why the real floodgates opened in 2021 when the FDA approved Wegovy. This was essentially the same medication, but at a higher dose, specifically designed and marketed.
Shout out to the Wegovy commercials. I think he's gonna say specifically designed and marketed for women because like this is the most like corporate "we talk to the ladies" ad I've ever seen.
For chronic weight management.
Oh, never mind.
The was waiting for, and it turned a medical discovery into a cultural.
Either way, this commercial is like, this one's for the ladies. Like, that's the vibe of this commercial.
For a while, it felt like every celebrity on the red carpet had suddenly undergone a transformation, but nobody wanted to say the word Ozempic yet. It was the industry's worst kept secret. Chelsea Handler admitted she was on it without even realizing what it was, because apparently her doctor just handed it to her like it was a vitamin. Amy Schumer was one of the few people who actually called out the culture of secrecy. And then there was the Oprah situation. Yeah, that's right. Oprah situation.
No.
Nobody illustrates the absolute chaos of this transition better than Oprah Winfrey. For decades, Oprah was the face of the traditional weight loss industry, specifically through her massive partnership with Weight Watchers. She owned 10% of the company and sat on their board, basically acting as the high priestess of counting points. But in 2023, Weight Watchers bought a telehealth company called Sequence, so they could start prescribing these drugs themselves. Oprah stepped down from the board and donated her shares to avoid the appearance of a conflict of interest. It was basically a complete surrender of the old way of doing things. This whole thing was bizarre, but perfectly sets the stage for where we are today.
I mean, it also checks out with the fact that, you know, counting calories, counting points, counting this, counting that. As a fat guy, my entire life has been people telling me to do this, this, or this, or this, or this, or this, or this. It's always been a pain in the ass. Always, right? The objective, of course, is to eat less, work out more, like the grand scheme. It's just constant supervision and constantly having, like, do this, change this, fix this, count this, and it's overwhelming. And the goal, I think, in most things, which is crazy, is like, what if there was just a pill or a shot and it did the work for you and you... Like, that was always the thing people wanted. And when stuff would come out, they'd jump on it immediately. And then, like I was saying earlier, there were always weird side effects. Now, I don't know about side effects with this. He hasn't said, I haven't looked it up. But I do think it's a worry that something terrible could happen to you. But also, you know, you want to believe in the FDA and you want to believe in the, you know, governmental bodies that are in charge of these things. But then also, it's 2026. So, you know,
we're watching massive brands go through a full-blown identity crisis because the world they spent decades building just doesn't exist anymore. The irony is that for some, this desperate pivot is actually backfiring. Weight Watchers tried to shed its skin and become a pharmaceutical middleman, and the market responded by sending their stock price off a cliff. But This is the new reality. Brands have to account for cultural changes. GLP-1 is here. There's a rise of people losing weight and eating less. And of course, a boatload of daily grinders focusing on fitness and wellness. Okay, so people are caring more about their bodies and what they consume because of this new health optimization era. I talked about this in detail in my last video. Wellness is 100% in.
I will say, yes, wellness is in, but not in the, like, dude working out the gym vibe. I think this is the culmination of years and years and years, like decades of being told smoking is bad, drinking is bad. It's very clear that all of that worked, that it really set in, that more and more people are, you know, we're not drinking. And then add into the fact that it's expensive to go out and drink. So bars and things are taking hits. It's really people are staying home. And sure, they might be drinking at home, but a lot of it is like weed now, edibles and whatnot. All the stuff they did worked. All the stuff they told us to, like, don't do that and avoid that. It did work. If you get inundated with all sorts of mass media buy-ins and ad campaigns, that stuff works. I'm sure there's also a thing about social media and how everyone wants to be beautiful on social media. There's a lot of factors in why younger people don't do things the way it was before. It's just a different age, man.
Let's play a little game. Imagine for a second you were the CEO of a fast food company.
Okay,
imagine sitting in your big leather chair, staring at a spreadsheet that shows your customers are suddenly
trying to eat my burger, but taking little tiny bites.
Buying way less food because they're on a drug that makes them physically repulsed by grease. What do? Do you go with option A and spend billions of dollars to fundamentally overhaul your entire global supply chain?
No, that was pretty easy. Being a CEO isn't hard.
So you could start selling actual nutrient-dense, healthy food? Or do you go with option B and just rebrand your old products to appear healthy so you can keep those profit margins nice and fat?
Yeah, well, yeah, I'm about to say, if you said A, you're about to get fired.
Today, you'd be classified as a terrible CEO and would probably be fired. In the Ozempic economy, survival is rarely about making a better product. It's often about being better at marketing. And one of the easiest things to market in this economy is protein. Protein signals discipline, fitness, optimization, and all the stuff modern health culture loves. But what you might not know is people on GLP-1s are constantly told to prioritize protein, partially because it helps with fullness, and partially because when you lose weight quickly, you also risk losing muscle. And food brands figured that out fast. For years, dining at Mickey D's was considered unhealthy, but as of March 20th, eating their chicken strips is comparable to eating protein bars, at least according to McDonald's.
Well, most protein bars I think are probably not great for you anyway. A lot of weird sugars and stuff in there. Dude, take the time to go look at what's inside a protein bar. You'll be like, bro, what? Like, I think the breading on the chicken or whatever is probably bad. The sauces are probably what's gonna get you. So they're definitely making changes. but not really. You know what I mean? They're just offering things and saying it's healthy, but really it's just a different way of selling you the shit they already sold you before.
Now, don't get me wrong, 40 grams of protein at 460 calories is reasonable, especially because, you know, it's just chicken. But 23 grams of fat with 1,400 milligrams of sodium?
Yeah, that's
not.
rough.
McDonald's really wants to sell this high protein idea.
There's my man!
So much so, they've partnered with influencers to showcase how much protein their products have. This influencer in particular has been incredibly forward about her GLP-1 use. And guess what? McDonald's saw that and sponsored her to talk about their high protein options. And look, I want to be extra direct here. I'm not criticizing Stefania for being open about her diet or her weight loss journey. My issue is not with her. What I am criticizing is the fact that McDonald's saw a wellness creator with a GLP-1 audience and thought, perfect, let's use that to sell fast food. That is weird. When someone builds a...
That's super weird. That is super weird. But also, from a corporate standpoint, it's genius, right? Because now you're getting a wellness person, a person whose entire thing is about eating better, to say, go eat fast food, which is like a diabolical level of genius. That chicken looks like shit, dude. I would rather eat anything other than that dry ass looking chicken. No thanks. This is why I can't with the fast food, because it's just worse. It has nothing to do with like, oh, well, you know, I'm trying to eat healthier. The quality is so bad, I would rather eat anything else than something like that.
When someone builds a platform around transforming their health through diet and exercise and then takes a McDonald's sponsorship, the irony is worth pointing out.
It is ironic and funny. With that said, get your bank. If McDonald's gonna pay you for that kind of stuff, take as much money as you can from McDonald's. The whole industry is wacky like that, but yikes, dude. Yikes. Okay.
Moreover, I think it's strange that wellness and fitness creators are partnering with fast food brands, period, because a lot of the people turning to wellness content for motivation.
This is how I know that I can't trust any of this, and it isn't because it's fitness creators eating fast food. It's because this guy in the middle ate that wrap like this instead of like this. No human should eat any wrap or taco like that. I can't trust that he is an AI.
And while some people can work toward moderation, some can't. Research shows that people who regularly consume fast food have a 20 to 129% increased risk of obesity compared to non-consumers. That is not a small number.
It's also because the food is extra salty for flavor and taste. It's high calorie and it's quick. You drive in, you get it, you eat it. Also, fast food is chemically designed to taste good, be high in fats and sugars, and have all that like good tasting stuff, but not actually fill you up. You have to eat a lot of fast food in order to get full, but it has very low nutrients. It's pretty messed up if you actually look into what's going on with fast food. There's a huge link between the choices people make when it comes to fast food. Look, I should know.
So yeah, this is all very weird, and I believe it's fair to point out. So while McDonald's doesn't have a dedicated GLP-1 menu, it's not a coincidence that their CEO said they were paying attention to GLP-1 users and then suddenly started marketing how much protein is in their food through influencers, tweets, and blog articles. And McDonald's is far from the only one doing this. Starbucks has done something similar when they launched their protein menu, putting a combo of whey protein.
I do not understand protein in coffee. I just don't, I don't get it. But I guess, it seems weird to me, but if you're gonna put protein in everything, it might as well be in your, latte or whatever.
And just like McDonald's, they partnered with a wave of influencers to sell you on these protein-packed products. When these launched, social media was flooded with photos and videos reviewing these protein lattes, and they all looked pretty gross. I can't help but wonder if Starbucks wanted to start sponsoring people so that those videos would show up versus the other videos. But regardless, at least these lattes are healthy, right? Well, not really. If you order any of the regular
If you order anything from Starbucks besides a coffee, you're looking at I think a grande macchiato, boy, why do I know this? A grande macchiato is like 300 something calories. And I think in the drink genre, besides just coffee or unsweetened tea, that is the lowest. Like maybe an espresso shot's lower, you know what I mean? But the minute you start mixing and getting into lattes or whatever, it's about 500-ish for a grande on average. That's like a meal.
And then of course we have Subway, a brand that has spent the last decade trying to outrun its own complicated history with weight loss spokespeople. Well, guess what? They're jumping headfirst into the Ozempic economy too. They recently launched something called protein pockets. If you've spent any time on foodie TikTok, you probably have seen influencers holding these up like they're some kind of holy relic of protein and fitness. These creators talk about them as if Subway just discovered the concept of amino acids for the first time. While their protein pockets are not necessarily unhealthy, and they're certainly healthier than a lot of other fast food items, the marketing
It's still Subway, who recently, in the last 10 years had to be like, our bread's bread now.
For example, their regular rotisserie style chicken 6-inch sub actually has fewer calories, half the fat, and about the same amount of protein as their new Baja Chicken protein pocket. There really is no significant difference between ordering certain regular menu items and these new protein pockets. In December 2025, Shake Shack introduced its new Good Fit menu, and unlike Starbucks or Subway, they did not dance around it. In the company's own words, their menu is designed to include high protein, gluten-free, vegetarian, and yes, GLP-1 choices. But here's the funny part. The Good Fit menu is not really some revolutionary new line of food. They took their same burgers and chicken sandwiches,
put a lettuce wrap around it,
swapped buns for lettuce wraps, highlighted the protein numbers, and repackaged the whole thing to sell to you.
I mean, I feel like, one, a lettuce wrap is actually a good choice when it comes to if you're trying to avoid buns or whatever. But two, lettuce wraps suck because they always get soggy and whatever you're eating falls apart. Get it in a bowl, forego the lettuce. Lettuce it's not gonna help you. It's not like, wow, lettuce really gives me the nutrients I need. Lettuce is kind of a trash thing. You put it in the bowl and you just cut it up and eat it that way. You're probably better off, to be honest.
Now, to be fair, some of these swaps probably are better for certain people, cutting carbs, shrinking portions, and making it easier to find higher protein options.
First off, I don't know what the deal with this woman on the left is, but her pouring that on the burger in her car is infuriating me. I'm like, her car's gonna get messy. Take a bite, lady. Take a bite.
Options is not
Take a bite.
a bad thing.
Take a bite.
It is not.
Take a bite. I hate when influencers do the thing where it's like, look at this amazing food. You know she put in a thing and threw it away after. How dare you?
Smoothie King is probably the best example of all of this. In October 2024, the company launched an actual GLP support menu. They called themselves the first national quick service chain to introduce a menu specifically created to assist millions of Americans taking prescription GLP-1 drugs. The smoothies were marketed around the exact language you would expect. High protein, rich in fiber, nutrient dense, all the buzzwords, all the hits. That sounds amazing. Let's take a look at these special GLP-1 smoothies and compare them to their counterparts. Here we have the Gladiator GLP-1 Vanilla Smoothie, and here we have the regular Gladiator Vanilla Smoothie. Oh, sorry, something isn't working here. Let's try it again. I said, here is the GLP-1 version, and here is the regular. Oh my God. They're the same thing.
What?
Well, surely this can't be. Well, what about the Keto Champ GLP-1 chocolate versus the regular Keto Champ chocolate? Oh my God.
They just add GLP-1?
It's the same thing again. Smoothie King, what are you doing? Most of the GLP-1 smoothies are no different than the regular smoothies on the menu. There are no secret ingredients hidden in the blender. The recipe and the base are the...
So like all the other things, they just added GLP-1 to like trigger the, oh, that's for me part of your brain. Admittedly, from a corporate standpoint, a lot of consumers need that. Like they would see the Smoothie King, like insert name, you know, like the Gladiator something smoothie, and they wouldn't know, oh, that's for me. They would just see that and be like, oh, that's for like the weightlifters or whatever. I don't know. Gladiators in the name. I'm trying here. And so by adding GLP-1, consumers are like, oh, they're talking to me. Take from that what you will.
When I looked this up, other people complained about this, and the only apparent difference I could find for these smoothies is that the normal versions lets you add things like peanut butter or bananas, while the GLP-1 versions guide you towards other options. But when you go to order these smoothies on their website, they're presented exactly the same. You can do that for either smoothie. So it's essentially the exact same product, but with different marketing. So do you notice the pattern here? The GOP-friendly fast food revolution is, in many cases, not about brands suddenly caring about your health. It's just them advertising their products differently. Take away some buns, highlight the protein amount, add some fiber, and suddenly your old product gets to cosplay as part of a medical lifestyle plan. What a hilarious and annoying world we live in. But listen, we know most fast food brands usually don't care about our health or wellness. But what about household food items? Well, if you think the drive-thru is getting weird, you should see what is happening in grocery store aisles. There's protein pasta, protein chips, protein Snickers bars, protein cereal, protein pancakes, and even protein-infused water. But I really want to highlight this one specific example just because of how ridiculous it is. Kellanova, the company you probably know better as Kellogg's, the snack giant behind Pringles, Cheez-Its, and Pop-Tarts, makes exactly the kind of ultra-processed snacks health-conscious consumers are cutting first. So what was their answer to the GLP-1 era? Protein Pop-Tarts. Available in flavors like Slam and Strawberry and Boost in Brown Sugar Cinnamon, which are real product names that an adult signed off on.
Boost it. Look, all right. First off, this is ridiculous. Second off, I will never hate on a cinnamon sugar Pop-Tarts. Those rule, they always have. I will die on that hill. Those are processed little pastries of pure delight. They're not good for you, but my God, they taste good. Here's what I'll say. That's ridiculous. I think it's fine to have a Pop-Tart every once in a while. Again, I like them. But the every once in a while is the key, right? It's a treat. If you watch any of the commercials about like toaster strudels or Pop-Tarts or whatever, they always say it's part of a balanced breakfast. The balance there is, don't eat it all the time, really.
Marketing these as a bold innovation for people looking for a protein boost on the go. I mean, look at how large the word protein is labeled on the box.
It's pretty big. It's bigger than the logo.
This must be a healthy snack. Well, the actual math here is incredible. A serving of these new protein boosted Pop-Tarts, which is 2 pastries, comes out to 380 calories, only 10 grams of protein, and 30 grams of sugar. Not only is this an extremely high amount of sugar, but per calorie, that's an awfully low amount of protein. For reference, a 100-gram chicken breast contains 165 calories and 31 grams of protein, meaning you need to consume over 1,100 calories or 6 whole Pop-Tarts to get the same amount of protein as 100 grams of chicken breast. What a joke! But what I think is really funny about all of this is just how out of touch it feels. Because nutritious, protein-dense pastries do actually exist, there are numerous brands that sell them, and Pop-Tart could easily compete with them if they tried. But they didn't. They took the regular version, which is heavily marketed towards children, and just added a splash of protein. So I think it's safe to say protein Pop-Tarts were not made for health-focused adults. But they were not really made for kids either, because kids eating Pop-Tarts do not care about protein, and parents who actually monitor their kids' diet are probably not buying Pop-Tarts in the first place. So really, who exactly is this for?
Probably investors. Like most things, it's for investors. Oh, we're doing protein now. Look at this stuff. It's on the markets, supermarket shelves, whatever. It's for investors. So that they're like, oh, well, we're doing the thing that everyone's doing, so line must go up. Because again, Kellanova, or whatever the hell Kellogg's is calling themselves now, is clearly a traded company. So they need line go up.
FDA does not regulate how brands use the word protein in their marketing. Any brand can do it, and the exact same thing is true for GLP-1 friendly. There is no regulated or medically defined standard for what the term actually...
Technically, we could call this episode GLP-1 friendly. Ooh, with extra protein! This episode has extra protein and is GLP-1 friendly.
A brand can define it however they want. Take Nestle, who released a whole new line of GLP-1 friendly frozen meals called Vital Pursuit. The packaging has this massive V that aggressively highlights
green, that means healthy. It literally says Max Pro, Max Pro is the name of like your World of Warcraft warrior in 2006.
Then there is Conagra, who went through over 24 existing healthy choice meals, changed absolutely nothing about the recipes, and just started labeling them as GLP-1 friendly. I
think it's also because people were looking for protein, and so they're like, oh, if we put it on the front instead of having people look on the back, they can make a quick, easy choice. And this is kind of like when they would have 0 sugar or no sugar on the packaging immediately, like in big bold lead. This is they've been doing this for decades. This is kind of what big corporations do.
Different levels of effort, same label, no rules. When a term means everything, it means nothing. And to me, as a consumer, that's generally concerning. Because where does it end? If food brands can advertise essentially however they want, how can we trust anything at face value? Honestly, not to sound insane, but I don't think we can. And nothing proves that more.
Oh yeah, no, you can't. I think most people just don't care. But you should never trust a corporation. They're not looking out for you, that's for sure. You should definitely be asking questions.
Then what is happening right now with fiber? The CEO of PepsiCo recently declared that fiber will be the next protein. And if you look at the numbers, he's
how can fiber be the next protein?
64% of Americans are now intentionally trying to add more fiber to their daily routine. Whole Foods named fiber one of the top food trends for 2026. Search interest for gut health has skyrocketed, and the trend has even birthed something called fiber maxing, where people are essentially gamifying their digestion for fiber gains. But one of the surprising reasons fiber is exploding right now, GLP-1. One of the most common and unglamorous side effects of GLP-1 drugs is constipation. So no matter how
There you go. We're already getting to side effects. Frankly, I don't want to be constipated. That's enough for me not to take it.
Slice it, fiber matters for everyone. There's a reason that dietitians and doctors recommend it so much. The issue is that brands know it matters, and they're absolutely milking that.
Pepsi, prebiotic cola. Anytime you go into a Whole Foods, all the sodas are prebiotic shit. But Pepsi?
Poppi is probably the clearest example of how messy this has all become. In 2024, a woman sued the company, claiming Poppi was overstating its health benefits and misrepresenting the functional value of the fiber in the soda.
Yeah, no, I believe
Celebrities were drinking it, influencers were pushing it, the branding was slick, the cans were colorful, and the message was everywhere. Drink this and your gut will thank you. But the fiber inside? Well, it's added or isolated fiber. This type of fiber can make the fiber count higher on nutrition labels, but do not always provide the same benefits as fiber found in whole foods like fruits or vegetables. Poppi later agreed to an almost $9 million settlement while denying wrongdoing. The best part of the story though, while the lawsuit was still very much a thing, PepsiCo looked at Poppi, looked at the settlement, looked at the problematic isolated fiber, and wrote a check for almost $2 billion. Yeah, that's right, Pepsi acquired Poppi, not because the product matters, but because the brand does. Welcome to the Ozempic economy. And I think this really highlights what we are all dealing with here. This is not really a story about Ozempic at all. It is a story about what happens when consumer behavior changes and corporations have no clue what to do about it. GLP-1 use is the tip of the iceberg, and protein Pop-Tarts are not going to save anyone. The industry's response has almost been universally the same. Not to make better food, not to actually invest in nutrition, but to find the fastest, cheapest, most marketable solution possible, which
insert every corporation ever here. It's not about making a better product. It's about tricking you to buy their trash, always, consistently. Please, and I mean this, if you can, I know it's different depending on where you live, try and support local businesses, local products. If you need sweets, eat something real. Like go get like a chocolate bar or something, but like something realish, but not that often. You know what I mean? Like, you know, you can treat yourself. Maybe you have like an ice cream parlor near town. I don't know. Maybe you live in 1956 and you want to get it. Like go there. Treat yourself to something realer than a Pop-Tart. I don't know. It's a different time.
Usually just means slapping a new label on an old product and hoping nobody looks too closely. And that is the part that generally makes me angry, because this is a calculated bet. Brands are spending enormous amounts of money on advertising, on influencers, on GLP-1 menus and protein branding and fiber sodas, because they have done the research and concluded that most people will not look any closer. They're banking on you being lazy.
Honestly, they're kind of right. There are a lot of lazy people. And I think they see people taking a drug to lose weight as lazy. And they see that as, okay, well, if they're lazy enough to do that, they're lazy enough to fall for these other tricks. I'm not saying that's what is happening, but that's how they perceive it. I think being a fat guy, I absolutely understand that being fat is equated with being lazy. It just is for a lot of people. And when they see lazy take a drug to, I don't know why I'm air quoting, but they take a drug to lose weight, that is also perceived as a lazy way of doing it. And then they assume you're still going to continue those lazy habits moving forward. And they're going to milk that.
And for a lot of people, that bet is going to pay off.
See?
So I guess if there's one thing I will leave you with, it's this. Don't be afraid to turn the box around, not because you need to optimize every meal or obsess over every macro, but because the front of almost every product in the Ozempic economy was written by a marketing team, not a dietitian. Thanks so much for watching. If you're still watching at this very moment, I appreciate you so very much. Special thanks to Trade Coffee for sponsoring this video. An extra special thank you to
yeah,
all my
you know what, Zach?
supporters.
Good
Until
video.
next time,
Good video.
bye-bye.
I like that a lot. I learned some things. I already reaffirmed most of what I know about corporations in general. I am still not convinced that I would ever take Ozempic, but I am convinced that people losing weight is a fine thing if it hurts big corporations, because frankly, F them. I'm not too old for that.